Hello and welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. Well, for keen observers of development in the convoluted world of politics, a national asset that ought to be a blessing could as well have become a national curse. A storm of controversy has been brewing over the ownership of oil fields at the adjoining communities on the boundaries of Kogi, Anambra, and Enugu states. Now, while Anambra has officially been recognized as an oil-producing state, Kogi State is laying claim to the oil deposits that have accorded Anambra that status. We'll be dissecting this issue for all it is worth until perhaps we arrive at a mutual understanding beneficial to all concerned. I'm Charles Eruka, and I'm glad to have you on today's edition. Now, last week, the matter of cash, that's the anticipated introduction of the 5,000 naira note into Nigeria's currency regime, had some of its weightiness relieved with a good dose of humor. That all began with the comments of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, who a couple of weeks ago expressed his misgivings about the idea and its timing.
Governor of Central Bank, apart from printing 5,000 naira bill, seriously. Apart from that, what is he managing? I understand that now his focus is on fighting inflation. Good idea. Good idea. But if all that you focus on is fighting inflation, you will kill production. You will withdraw all the blood in terms of resources from the economy because we are fighting inflation. And then at the end of the day, we will end up, all of us, in poverty.
Oh yes, sincerely sorry about that mix-up there. Actually, the former president did say that the timing for the introduction of the 5,000 naira note was off. And of course, he also said that the measure would introduce some measure of what he referred to as inflation. Well, another of the stakeholders did say it was he actually called it bust-up economics. Well then, after the president made those comments and all the other comments for and against the introduction of the 5,000 naira notes, phantom economics or not, the man who is midwifing the introduction of the new currency regime, the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, had a good dose of humor in reaction to that particular remark, and he said his primary target was the former president of Nigeria, whom he described as an excellent farmer, but unfortunately, as far as economic savvy was concerned, a different matter entirely. Let's listen to Sanusi Lamido Sanusi.
You know, my uncle, or my father, the former head of state, General Obasanjo. You know, I like Obasanjo. He's a very successful farmer, but he's a very bad economist. He stands up. He stands up. And, you know, he loves me. And he stands up and says that this higher denomination notes will cause inflation and impose hardship. I said, General Obasanjo did 20 naira. He did 100 naira, 200, 500, and 1,000. He has introduced more higher denominations in Nigeria than any head of state. And you see, and when General Obasanjo he did 100 in 1999, then he did 200 in 2000, did 500 I think 2 years later, did what? And in that period, inflation was coming down. It was coming down because it was accompanied by very tight monetary and fiscal policies during his reforms. Now, for somebody who has gone through that, who has in business, to come and stand up and say introducing a higher denomination causes inflation. I don't know if somebody wrote the speech. I'm trying to see him, or if he was misquoted. Because if he actually said that, then he must be the single most important determinant of inflation in our history, given the number of notes he has introduced. We all know that you cannot have inflation simply because you produce a denomination if you don't increase money supply. It's basic economics. We all know it. And yet, we keep repeating the opposite deliberately, and people talk. And you wonder, what is the transmission channel between any denomination and prices? What?
Well, it will be most interesting to hear what Chief Obasanjo will have to say about his lack of economic knowledge. You know, he has that reputation of not taking any perceived slur lying down, no matter how well-intentioned or well-expressed. Remember his famous skirmishes with the National Assembly when he held sway as president. Well, the current president seems to have gotten himself on the wrong side of the great lawmakers as well. And just before the House of Representatives went on recess, the impeachment threat issued on President Goodluck Jonathan over a dismal implementation of the 2012 budget topped its agenda. The minority leader of the House, Honorable Femi Gbajabiamila, had first broached that issue in July when he suggested that if the president fails to implement the Appropriation Act, the House may consider drawing up articles of impeachment. However, before that issue could get off the ground, the president received some help from an unlikely ally, the African Liberation Party, who actually went to court on his behalf to challenge the legislator's right to initiate impeachment procedures against President Jonathan. Now let's listen to the ALP's lawyer, Alex Williams.
Why we singled out the House of Representatives and the Speaker is because they are the ones, if you read through the originating summons, they are the ones that commenced this. And make no mistake about it, we are not saying they don't have the powers under Section 143 to impeach the president, but we are saying that this particular impeachment falls outside the purview or the prescription of the Constitution. That's the contention. That's the main meat of this case.